Standards. We hear the word used often to refer to different aspects of our life. Everything we do in our lives are based on a standard, whether it be a personal one or one that we agree to by being part of a group or community. For example, the way you dress today was based on a standard. The car you bought was based on a standard. The classes you took were based on a standard. A standard most often represents the minimum accepted. Anything above this expectation exceeds the standard. If you Google the definition for standard, you will find the following meanings appear. A required or agreed level of quantity, quality, or attainment, or an idea or a thing used as a measure, norm, or a model in comparative evaluations. In Kentucky's public schools, we have standards for what students are expected to learn as they move from grade to grade throughout their school career. Today we will learn about how the Kentucky Core academic standards were created. In the past, you probably heard teachers complain that there were too many standards to teach and they didn't have enough time to teach them. There was some truth to that statement, and the Kentucky legislature took heed. Why do we need education standards? Kentucky's education system has had standards for student achievement since the Kentucky Education Reform Act, KERA, was enacted in the early 1990s. While it enabled us to rise in the state ranks from 49th to about 34th, more was needed for Kentucky students to succeed. In the winter of 2009, Kentucky legislators passed Senate Bill 1 that required new standards that were clearer and better focused on college, work, and global competition. New testing to match the new standards, training for current students on how to teach so students reach the new standards, and teacher preparation programs that would do the same thing for future educators. This Senate Bill 1, now known as Unbridled Learning, is important for several reasons, but mainly for the purpose of educating Kentucky students to be competitive in a global job market. According to a report released by the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD, by 2020, China is expected to produce 29% of all higher education graduates, which is up from 18% in 2010. And the United States is expected to produce 11% of those graduates, which is down from 14% in 2010. This is not acceptable if the United States is going to be competitive in the global economy. We also know that students who enter college prepared to do college work are much more likely to complete a baccalaureate degree than students who must take remedial classes once they enter college. By the year 2020, 80% of new jobs will require post-secondary education. This is according to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. The types of job skills demanded in the work world are rapidly changing. The dilemma for schools is the skills that are easiest to teach and test are also the ones easiest to digitize, automate, and outsource. Our schools must be about the business of providing an education that makes our students competitive globally. Let's take a look at the steps Kentucky, along with other states across the country, took to ensure students' needs for a global competitive education were met. Governors and chief state school officials from many states agreed in the spring of 2009 to develop shared standards for language arts and mathematics. The intent was for the standards to be clear and focused on students being prepared for college, the workforce, and global competition. By developing these standards, together it allowed states to compare student work from state to state, share tests, textbooks, and technology, share teaching strategies to support the standards, have one set of clear, consistent expectations, and to remain free to decide whether they would use the shared standards. The Common Core standards also allow for internationally competitive goals, high expectations for all students, student mobility, insurance of a skilled workforce, and more financially efficient use of tax dollars. This was the logic and power in the Common Core standards. The Common Core standards were built on the strength of standards drawn from many states. 48 states and territories provided experts, educators, college professors, and business people from all fields who participated in the development of the standards. The Common Core State Initiative's website states that 43 states, the District of Columbia, 4 territories, and the Department of Defense Education Activity have adopted the standards. Kentucky was the very first state to adopt the Common Core standards. In Kentucky, the standards are called the Kentucky Core Academic Standards, or KCAS. You will hear the two terms used interchangeably in Kentucky, but they are the same thing. Today, we have looked at a short synopsis of why and how the Kentucky Core Academic Standards were created. You have heard that Kentucky standards were enacted due to a state legislature mandate in 2009 that required new standards that were clearer and better focused on work, college, and global competition. I would like to leave you with a quote from the 3rd President of the United States, Thomas Jefferson. "Inform the whole mass of the people. They are the only sure reliance for the preservation of our liberty."
You gotta get your own picture.